All right, again, officially, thank you for being part of our second repertory presentation of the 12th night scenes we've been working on. Some of you may have been here, certainly as we've been going through these number of weeks, and you may have been here on Monday, but I want to just give a quick context for anyone that is totally new to this. My name is Nathan Agan. I'm the host and producer of The Working Actor's Journey, and over the last year, that evolved from a podcast, or there's still the podcast, but then we've been doing these workshops. And for this round, we did a grand experiment of taking 4 scenes from one play, Shakespeare's 12th Night, and 2 directors. Today you'll see Brendon Fox, and on Monday there was Elizabeth Swain. We're each working on 2 scenes with the same cast of actors, 6 actors. And in all 4 of those scenes, very often actors were playing multiple parts. And so there was a little bit of that repertory theater experience. In a true repertory theater, you might have the same company doing 2 or 3 entirely different plays, playing different characters. But this, allowed us to experiment with one play, and each, both the cast getting different perspectives on the same material from 2 different people, and then also the directors being able to see, well, how does another director approach the material? So there was a lot for us to explore and experiment and have fun with. And so it's been a great experience to have professionals and newer artists involved. And so there's a lot of great stuff been going on over the past 6 weeks, and discussion and discovery. If you have any questions, you are welcome to put those into the chat box, and I'll collect those. And when their work wraps up for today, we can go through those and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure there'll be no shortage of discussion. There's a lot to talk about with these scenes, and even more to keep working on. So I believe that is it for me. I will say, if you weren't here on Monday, I did a little special announcement about what is coming up, and I'm going to tease that again, that if you stick around to the end, I'll share more about what our next round will be. And I think that's it for me. So you will hear from a couple of people right now. So I'm going to turn it over to Brendon Fox, who's directing, and then Philippa Kelly was one of the dramaturgs as part of the process. And I believe that's it. Maybe Brendon, you could have all the actors at least say hi or introduce themselves quickly so people know. And we're going to do our best to have the character names in the actors' boxes, so you can at least kind of track for each scene, who people are playing. But I think that's it for me. And so, Brendon, I will now turn it over to you.
Thanks, Nathan, and want to thank you for this second great opportunity to work with you and Working Actors Journey on these experiences. My first round working on Merchant of Venice was a joy, and this has been just as wonderful. And so that's all due to you. So thank you, and I love being part of this experiment with Repertory. And one other thing I was going to add that I think was part of our discussion, you, me, and Liz Swain, was in creating this. One thing I found really exciting was when we were looking at what scenes to choose, both Liz and I thought each of us would have a large scene or a large cast scene, and then a smaller, more intimate scene to work with the same group of actors, so that way not only would they get 4 scenes to work on from 12th Night, but they and our audience today would get to experience what that dynamic is like when you have something big like Act 1, Scene 5, which we'll start with, and what is that like when you are a large or a smaller part of that, but still an integral part of a large, more orchestral scene, and then something a lot more intimate, which is our trio for Act 2, Scene 4. I think that's fantastic.
Great, thank you very much, Brendon. Happy to provide the sandbox for all of you.
Yeah, and it has been, I think, a really fantastic sandbox, and I don't want to forget this at the end of today, but so I'm going to start off with additional thanks to Philippa and Gideon, our incredible dramaturgs, who are just an endless font of incredible information and perspectives on these characters, these scenes, and your enthusiasm and joy for Shakespeare is boundless, and you give me so much to think about, Philippa. So thank you for that. And this cast is phenomenal, and it's bittersweet because I love every moment with them, and of course every time we finish I'm like, okay, so when are we going to do this again and be in a room together and go beyond it? But it's the best kind of bittersweet, because what I love about this group, which I think you all see today, is how fearless you all been, how inquisitive you've been, curious and supportive of each other, and also just a lot of fun. And I think that's crucial as well, especially when challenging texts are involved. So thank you. I think we're going to start with Act 1, Scene 5, as I mentioned, the larger scene. In a second, I'll turn over to Philippa, who will give us some context for those who are a little rusty on your 12th Night lore. Philippa will fill us in. And then we'll jump into that scene. When that's wrapped up, we'll take a moment and pivot to 2-4, and then we'll change up our screen names for Zoom purposes. And Philippa, if you can also give us a little background for that, and then we'll jump in and then take questions. I'd like to just share with the actors a couple of quick thoughts. A lot of this I know we know, but I think it's still worth saying that this is always a work in progress, as are we. And just because this is our final time to explore these scenes, I would just encourage you to just keep playing in the sandbox, keep making new discoveries and trying new things out, as you've been doing every week. So we don't have to feel like this is any kind of culmination or opening or closing. It's just another chance to play and explore. And as we've been talking about all along, I would encourage you all to keep finding how much do these characters want what they want in every moment, and how much and how quickly can they change. Both of these scenes are, I think, incredible representations of how quicksilver these characters are in their identities, in their wants, desires, frustrations, shade that they're throwing at each other at times. That's all part of how incredible and protean these you all are. So I would just encourage you to lean into that and see what happens. Any questions or thoughts on that? Great. Philippa, you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Brendon. So everybody, this play was written hard up against Hamlet. And one of the things, I think they're such different plays, but this has quite a bit of darkness, as in mourning, MOURNING, and then also the role of Malvolio, which is kind of unresolved, but sort of bitter at the end of the play. Also, one intriguing thing about this play, I think, is that we look at Shakespeare's women through his works, and how do they exercise freedom in a society which is very much controlled by men? And one option is, if they don't want to marry, go into the convent. And another one for a wealthy woman like Olivia is, okay, if I don't want to go into the convent, how about I just go into mourning for 7 years for the death of my father and my brother? And so that's what she chooses to do in order to avoid the advances of the Duke Orsino. But then what happens? There is a beautiful young man who has red lips and rosy cheeks, who comes on behalf of Duke Orsino to try to woo her into marriage, which was quite common in that time. A man would send an envoy to woo on behalf of him. And what happens in this is that Olivia falls in love with this beautiful young man, except it's a woman. And this woman, Viola, is dressed as Cesario. So in this scene, which is absolutely hilarious, we begin with all sorts of bawdy sexual jokes between Mariah and FESTE the Fool. Remember, FESTE, festival celebration. 12th Night was the celebration of the Christmas period, the Epiphany. And as we move through, we see Viola, who's secretly in love with the Duke, now making his advances, reluctantly, of course, because she loves him, to Olivia. And I'll leave you to watch what happens as Olivia starts to really notice this young man. And I'll also say, just because I get the chance here, I have absolutely loved dramaturging in this project. I can't believe, Brendon, you were saying when we work together again, if every director could be like Brendon, not only would theatre, Shakespeare be fantastic all the way around, but we would all just be constantly joyful in and out of the theatre. And I've just loved working with these incredible actors who have just, we give notes, and these actors pick up these notes just so beautifully. And of course, they're all really wonderful actors, many of whom have been acting at the Globe. So with that, I hand over to these extraordinary professionals. Thank you.
Nay, either tell me where thou hast been, or I will not open my mouth so wide as a bristle may enter in way of thy excuse. My lady will hang thee for thy absence.
Let her hang me. He that is well hanged in this world needs to fear no colors.
Make that good.
He shall see none to fear.
A good Lenten answer. I can tell thee where that saying was born of I fear no colors.
Where, good Mistress Mary?
In the wars, and that may you be bold to say in your foolery.
Well, God give them wisdom that have it, and those that are fools, let them use their talents.
Yet you will be hanged for being so long absent, or to be turned away. Is not that as good as a hanging to you?
Many a good hanging prevents a bad marriage. And for turning away, let summer bear it out.
You are resolute then?
Not so neither, but I am resolved on 2 points.
That if one break, the other will hold, or if both break, your gaskins fall.
Apt, in good faith, very apt. Well, go thy way. If Sir Toby would leave drinking, thou wert as witty a piece of Eve's flesh as any in Illyria.
Peace, you rogue, no more that. Here comes my lady. Make your excuse wisely, you were best.
Wit, and be thy will, put me into a good fooling. Those wits that think they have thee do very oft prove fools, and I, that am sure I lack thee, may pass for a wise man. Oh, for what says Quinopolis? Better a witty fool than a foolish wit. God bless thee, lady.
Take the fool away.
Do you not hear, fellows? Take away the lady.
Go to. You are a dry fool. I'll no more of you. Besides, you grow dishonest.
2 faults, Madonna, that drink and good counsel will amend. Forgive the dry fool drink, then is the fool not dry. Bid the dishonest man mend himself. If he mend, he is no longer dishonest. If he cannot, let the botcher mend him. Anything that's mended is but patched. Virtue that transgresses is but patched with sin, and sin that amends is but patched with virtue. If that this simple syllogism will serve so, if it will not, what remedy? As there is no true cuckold but calamity, so beauty's a flower. The lady bade take away the fool. Therefore, I say again, take her away.
Sir, I bade them take away you.
Miss Prisian in the highest degree. Lady, cucullus non facit monocum. Sir, that's as much to say, I wear not motley in my brain. Good Madonna, give me leave to prove you a fool.
Can you do it?
Dexterously, good Madonna.
Make your proof.
I must catechize you for it, Madonna. Good my mouse of virtue, answer me.
Well, sir, for want of utter idleness, I'll bide your proof.
Good Madonna, why mourn'st thou?
Good fool, for my brother's death.
I think his soul is in hell, Madonna.
I know his soul is in heaven, fool.
You are a fool, Madonna, to mourn for your brother's soul being in heaven. Take away the fool, gentlemen.
What think you of this fool, Malvolio? Doth he not mend?
Yes, and shall do to the pangs of death shake him. Infirmity that decays the wise doth ever make the better fool.
God send you, sir, a speedy infirmity for the better increasing your folly. Sir Toby will be sworn that I am no fox, but he will not pass his word for a tuppence that you are no fool.
How say you to that, Malvolio?
I marvel your ladyship takes delight in such a barren rascal. I saw him put down the other day with an ordinary fool that has no more brain than a stone. Look you now. He's out of his guard already. Unless you laugh and minister occasion to him, he is gagged. I protest I take these wise men that crow so at these set kind of fools no better than the fools' zanies.
Oh, you are sick of self-love, Malvolio, and taste with a distempered appetite. To be generous, guiltless, and of free disposition is to take those things for bird bolts that you deem cannon bullets. There is no slander in an allowed fool, though he do nothing but rail, nor no railing in a known discreet man, though he do nothing but reprove.
Now Mercury endue thee with lying, for thou speakst well of fools.
Madam, there is at the gate a young gentleman much desires to speak with you.
From the Count Orsino, is it?
I know not, madam. 'Tis a fair young man, and well attended.
Who of my people hold him in delay?
Sir Toby, madam, your kinsman.
Oh, fetch him off, I pray you. He speaks nothing but madmen. Fie on him. Go you, Malvolio. If it be a suit from the Count, I am sick or not at home, what you will to dismiss it. Now you see, sir, how your fooling grows old and people dislike it.
Thou hast spoke for us, Madonna, as if thy eldest son should be a fool, whose skull Jove cram with brains for... Thy king has...
By mine honor, half drunk. What is he at the gate, cousin?
A gentleman.
A gentleman. What gentleman?
There's a gentleman here. Ooh. A plague of these pickled herring. How now, sot?
Cousin, how have you come so early by this lethargy?
Lechery? Why defy lechery? Oh, there's one at the gate.
Ay, marry, what is he?
Oh, let him be the devil and he will. I care not. Give me faith, say I. Well, it's all one.
What's a drunken man like, fool?
Like a drowned man, a fool, and a madman. One draught above heat makes him a fool, the second mads him, and the third drowns him.
Go thou and seek the coroner and let him sit to my cuz, for he's in the 3rd degree of drink. He's drowned. Go look after him.
He is but mad yet, Madonna, and the fool shall look to the madman.
Madam, yon fellow swears he will speak with you. I told him you were sick. He takes on him to understand so much and therefore comes to speak with you. I told him you were asleep. He seems to have foreknowledge of that too and therefore comes to speak with you. What is to be said to him, lady? He's fortified against any denial.
Tell him he shall not speak with me.
Has been told so, and he says he'll stand at the door like a sheriff's post and be the supporter of a bench, but he'll speak with you.
What kind of man is he?
Why, of mankind.
What manner of man?
A very ill manner. He'll speak with you, will you or no?
Of what personage and years is he?
Not yet old enough for a man, nor young enough for a boy, as a squash is before 'tis a peas cod, or a codling when 'tis almost an apple. 'Tis with him in standing water between boy and man. He is very well favored, and he speaks very shrewishly. One would think his mother's milk was scarce out of him.
Let him approach. Call in my gentlewoman.
Gentlewoman! My lady calls.
Give me my veil, come, throw it on my face. We'll once more hear Orsino's embassy.
The honorable lady of the house, which is she?
Speak to me. I shall answer for her. Your will.
Most radiant, exquisite, and unmatchable beauty. I pray you, tell me if this be the lady of the house, for I never saw her. I would be loath to cast away my speech, for besides that it is excellently well penned, I've taken great pains to con it.
Oh.
Good beauties, let me sustain no scorn. I am very comfortable even to the least sinister usage.
Whence came you, sir?
I can say little more than I have studied, and that question's out of my part. Good gentleman, give me modest assurance, if you be the lady of the house, that I may proceed in my speech.
Oh, are you a comedian?
No, my profound heart. And yet by the very fangs of malice, I swear I am not that I play. Are you the lady of the house?
If I do not usurp myself, I am.
Most certain, if you are she, you do usurp yourself. For what is yours to bestow is not yours to reserve. But this is from my commission. I will on with my speech in your praise and then show you the heart of my message.
Come to what is important in it. I forgive you the praise.
Alas, I took great pains to study it, and 'tis poetical.
It is the more like to be feigned. I pray you, keep it in. I heard you were saucy at my gates and allowed your approach rather to wonder at you than to hear you. If you be mad, be gone. If you have reason, be brief. 'Tis not that time of moon with me to make one in so skipping a dialogue.
Will you hoist sail, sir? Here lies your way.
No, good swabber, I am to hull here a little longer. Some mollification for your giant, lady.
Tell me your mind.
I am a messenger.
Sure you have some hideous matter to deliver when the courtesy of it is so fearful. Speak your office.
It alone concerns your ear. I bring no overture of war, no taxation of homage. I hold the olive in my hand. My words are as full of peace as matter.
Yet you began rudely. What are you? What would you?
The rudeness that hath appeared in me have I learned from my entertainment. What I am and what I would are as secret as maidenhead. To your ears, divinity. To any others, profanation.
Give us the place alone. We will hear this divinity. Now, sir, what is your text?
Most sweet lady.
Ah, comfortable doctrine, and much may be said of it. Where lies your text?
In Orsino's bosom.
In his bosom? In what chapter of his bosom?
To answer by the method, in the first of his heart.
Oh, I have read it. It is heresy. Have you no more to say?
Good madam, let me see your face.
Have you any commission from your lord to negotiate with my face? You are now out of your text, but we will draw the curtain and show you the picture. Look you, sir, such a one I was this present. It's not well done.
Excellently done. If God did all.
'Tis in grain, sir. 'Twill endure wind and weather.
'Tis beauty truly blent, whose red and white nature's own sweet and cunning hand laid on. Lady, you are the cruelest she alive, if you will lead these graces to the grave and leave the world no copy.
Oh, sir, I will not be so hard-hearted. I will give out divers schedules of my beauty. It shall be inventoried, and every particle and utensil labeled to my will as item 2 lips, indifferent red. Item 2 gray eyes with lids to them. Item 1 neck, 1 chin, and so forth. Oh, were you sent hither to praise me?
See what you are. You are too proud. But if you were the devil, you are fair. My lord and master loves you. Oh, such love could be but recompensed, though you were crowned the nonpareil of beauty.
How does he love me?
With adorations, with fertile tears, with groans that thunder love, with sighs of fire.
Your lord does know my mind. I cannot love him. Yet I suppose him virtuous, know him noble, of great estate, of fresh and stainless youth, in voices well divulged, free, learned, and valiant, and in dimension in the shape of nature, a gracious person. But yet I cannot love him. He might have took his answer long ago.
If I did love you in my master's flame, with such a suffering, such a deadly life, in your denial I would find no sense. I would not understand it.
Why? What would you?
Make me a willow cabin at your gate and call upon my soul within the house. Write loyal cantons of contemned love and sing them loud, even in the dead of night. Halloo your name to the reverberate hills and make the babbling gossip of air cry out, Olivia! Oh. You should not rest between the elements of air and earth, but you should pity me.
You might do much. What is your parentage?
Above my fortunes, and yet my state is well. I am a gentleman.
Get you to your lord. I cannot love him. Let him send no more, unless perchance you come to me again to tell me how he takes it. Fare you well. I thank you for your pains. Spend this for me.
I am no feed post, lady. Keep your purse. My master, not myself, lacks recompense. Love make his heart of flint that you shall love, and let your fervor, like my master's, be placed in contempt. Farewell, fair cruelty.
What is your parentage? Above my fortunes, yet my state is well. I am a gentleman. I'll be sworn thou art. Thy tongue, thy face, thy limb, action and spirit, to give thee so blazing. Not too fast. Soft, soft. Unless the master were the man. How now? Even so quickly may one catch the plague. Methinks I feel this youth's perfections with an invisible and subtle stealth to creep in at mine eyes. Well, let it be. What ho, Malvolio?
Here, madam, at your service.
Run after that same peevish messenger, the county's man. He left this ring behind him. Would I or not? Tell him I'll none of it. Desire him not to flatter with his lord, nor hold him up with hopes. I am not for him. If that the youth will come this way tomorrow, I'll give him answers for it. Hi thee, Malvolio.
Madam, I will.
I do, I know not what, and fear to find mine eye too great a flatterer for my mind. Fate, show thy force. Ourselves we do not owe. What is decreed must be, and be this so.
Lovely. Beautiful work, everyone. I can't get over Michele. I'm still dying about watching Olivia try to get that ring off. Hilarious. It really, he left it behind. I don't know why it's on my finger. Just hold on. That's really beautiful. Beautiful work. I want to share that I feel like where we built even from last week was allowing all of them to be on such shifting ground, and that it really felt even more today like each character has such a small flashlight, but they have an idea of what's going on and how quickly things can shift, and the surprise and shock that everyone. I was thinking, Janet, for you and Sara, that first scene was even clearer, and I think the fun that you were both having. But then I love that moment, Janet, when you stopped and kind of gobsmacked, said you are resolute. You're going to still pursue the way you're going to pull this off. That there's, all joking aside, I really saw the stakes and how much you care about FESTE and the sake of the household. And the shock that you had, Sara, on noticing how quickly you got back in favor, and not only that, but the way that Michele was now starting to kind of give a public spanking to Jamal was wonderful, because I feel like it really captures the topsy-turviness of the play, not just scene by scene, but really moment to moment.
Yes.
That I saw, Michele, you kind of taking stock every moment, going, I think I'm actually forgiving FESTE. I think that's what's happening. I'm the way you're just taking her temperature moment to moment.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden I start to feel myself, the real me, starts to come out again, and it's like very surprising.
Exactly.
I was delighted too, because I felt like I got your forgiveness earlier this week, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, and I felt like I saw the shock on Jamal's face of, wait, what's going on? I thought this was, and then even at the end, Jamal, when you're like, yes, at your service, I'm gonna make it up. I don't know how I lost your favor for a second there, but I'm back, and whatever you need, and I will watch you wrestle with that ring till the cows come home. It's all good. And I mean, and Erika, something that occurred to me that would be, I don't know if we've ever really talked about this, but it's kind of fascinating for you and Michele and Janet, when the kind of jig is up, right before you say, Michele, that if I do not usurp myself, I am. It occurred to me, Erika, that there is this idea that what if Viola gets it actually totally wrong? Like, what if she's like, are you, I know it, right? Like to Mariah, like, you're the lady of the house. Am I right? Yes, I win. Yeah, exactly. Michelle's like, actually, I'm the lady of the house, so you're losing big time.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, exactly, Erika. You're bad at this game. You think you're all polished and all that, but it's not. Yeah, you're not doing so hot.
Oh, I don't think today was a day that I felt like I really sort of felt how nervous Viola would be. Also,
Yeah.
after having been harassed by everyone in the household almost, and stubbornly sticking around, and finally getting to the lady, and now they're giving me crap. It's just, it's a little like,
I think that's so important, Erika, in terms of backstory, right? Because I think that it's Shakespeare gives it to us implicitly in the text of the trials you've had to go through.
Yeah,
and these are not easy gatekeepers, between Sir Toby and Mariah and Malvolio. And I mean, in the myth, they only had Cerberus to deal with, but the many heads of Cerberus are these folks. And so on top of that, then you finally walk in, and now you have to play with these two Russian dolls that look exactly the same, and that heightens it. So by you walking in with that level of anxiety,
yeah,
I understood why you were oversharing.
Yeah.
Right? From the beginning of like, I know I'm already off script. I'm really nervous. But it's good. It's poetical, by the way. I mean, I'm going, oh my God, this is so TMI.
I memorized it. Tries to make a joke with Mariah, and
I know. I loved that. I thought that was a great new wrinkle, Erika, of like, you got what I did there, and then Mariah's like, no.
Yeah. And Garrett's drunkenness, I was like, oh shit, having to deal with that at the gate. Wow. Your picture came up, Garrett. It was like 3 sheets to the wind. You didn't even have to open your mouth. That's amazing.
Yeah, and there was that moment, Garrett, early on when you stopped and you looked at them, and then when they're talking about you, and you had this like, is it me? Is that?
Yeah.
And that's that sense of, I loved that today. I mean, there was not even a reference to you actually, as far as I know, maybe I missed it, but I love that you didn't actually try drinking at all. Do you know what I mean? That this was catching Malvolio, Sir Toby, between, like, as he's coasting, or as we talked about, that EKG of inebriation, that it feels like you were off to get another drink because it was where, does that kind of syncing up with what you were exploring?
Yeah, kind of like riding the buzz, like starting to sober a little bit. Not enough to fix my clothes, but.
And that the fact that you got even darker, I think, at the end, allowing yourself that air, that space to breathe, going into All's One. I think to me, it just, that I feel like this play is full of these openings in the floor that just open up suddenly, to the characters, where they think they're heading in one direction, or things are coming together, and then they look into the abyss for a moment, or they admit that they're scared, or they need another drink, or they don't know what's going on, and then they try to pick up the pieces and keep going. And even like we talked about, Sara, an uber confident character like FESTE, I really appreciate that you leaned into his prayer, his insecurity, his sense of I put up a front with Mariah, but when it's just me, I hope I can pull this off. And so it struck me as an interesting parallel for you, Sara and Erika, that there was this both being on, both high stakes, both sort of, like that sense of, am I going to be able to, deliver and persuade and use my language to get what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see FESTE's prayer, even though we don't see Viola's, it almost like hints she probably did the exact same thing.
Yeah, like right down the lane, right? Or like around the corner. If we were doing the movie, I could see you, Erika, right up against the stone wall going, okay, you got this. Yeah, exactly. A little sign of the cross. Yeah, exactly. Checking the mirror, or in the window, right? Pane to say like, yeah, am I all
The tie.
And then it's showtime, but this, so it was really lovely all around.
Yeah.
Philippa, did you want to add anything before we moved on?
You're muted.
Sorry about that, everybody. Just to say, oh gosh, I wish that you audience members had been able to see this as time's gone on, because just all of the little adjustments through the weeks are so stunning to see, and I love the mix between bawdy humor and then going on to other kinds of humor, always, as I mentioned, with that dark underscore.
Yeah, that's great. Well, shall we, let's pivot to Act 2, Scene 4. And Philippa, just before I give you the Zoom mic, I did want to mention to our audience one thing that we talked about with the actors quite a bit was timeline, and how I feel like it's helpful when I'm working with actors on Shakespeare is to think about how many times do you have with this person on stage. Yes, we know that that Cesario or Viola is with Orsino often off stage, but there are really only 3 scenes that they have together, right? Yeah. And this is what we're going to see is their second one, and which I feel like is one of the fulcrums of the play. And the next time we see them together is Act 5, Scene 1, the very end of the play, and then they're together. Yeah. And you know they're pledging their love, and they're revealing who they finally really are. So we talked about that in terms of what can happen in this scene that can move the needle emotionally and vulnerability wise as far as possible for those two. They still need further to go, which is why we need Act 5 for them, I think. But that doesn't mean that this scene can't be really potent in terms of how open and vulnerable they can be with each other.
Yeah, that's lovely, Brendon. And just to say also, everybody, that that in that time, marriages between aristocrats were very much dynastic, and so you had certain property, your projected spouse had certain property, and it was really the blending of dynasties. And so what we see here is Viola as Cesario, but wanting to, in a sense, being totally into Orsino, and so, but in terms of dynasties, she has very little and is marrying up. And so when you look at 12th Night, you know, yourselves as you see it in future years or iterations, maybe, think about that. And then the fact that Malvolio also wants to marry up. Why is he seen as so ridiculous, whereas all of our sympathies are with Viola? And I think part of it too is, part of the reason for this is that she is young, lovely, and she has, we really enter her mind as she is planning how she's going to be disguised as Cesario, and then as she goes into these lovely, often slightly humorous interactions. And as we see her here, she's talking about her father having had a daughter, and the daughter is desperately in love. She talks about the green and yellow colors. In that time, green was the color for green sickness, which women was really another word for premenstrual syndrome. And she sat like Patience on a monument, and Patience had a very specific connotation in that time. It meant the capacity to endure. And as we see her, her endurance through this play, we also understand a kind of strength of character. What never really is super clear is what she actually sees in Orsino that makes her so desperately in love. And just one last little thing about this scene. It's interesting that Orsino mentions music for the second time in this play. And the idea of a musical score of of the harmonies of love and the disharmonies of love being played again and again and again through the centuries. And so Orsino is really responding to that reiterated music. But here in this play, we have Viola, aka Cesario, teaching him to listen in a different way.
I love that, Philippa, and I would just add your great moment note about the question that any production and any exploration of this play wrestles with. One of the questions is, what is this relationship? Why does she fall for him? And that is something that we talked about in our scene work with this that we're about to see. And I think we all were exploring the idea of Orsino's youthfulness, his naivete, his sense of kind of talking about things that maybe he doesn't necessarily have a lot of experience with, and that Viola's insight and wisdom, even at a young age, might be able to see that he can be taught, he can be illuminated, he can learn to listen and grow. And I think that I just wanted to note that piggyback on that, because I think it is really relevant to our exploration of the scene and how we decided to approach their dynamic and what he thinks he knows versus what Viola knows.
Yes, and he doesn't have to marry a woman of beauty and property. He can marry this extraordinary young woman who comes to him through nothing.
Well, great. And we should note that there would be music playing. He says, while they're waiting for FESTE to come and sing this song, they would be playing it underneath the first part of the dialogue between Orsino and Viola. So just imagine the music underneath their scene.
Give me some music. Now, good morrow, friends. Now, good Cesario, but that piece of song, that old and antique song we heard last night, methought it did relieve my passion much, more than light airs and recollected terms of these most brisk and giddy-paced times. Come, but one verse.
He is not here, so please your lordship that should sing it.
Who was it?
FESTE the jester, my lord.
Ah.
Fool that the Lady Olivia's father took much delight in. He is about the house.
Seek him out, and play the tune the while. Come hither, boy. If ever thou shalt love, in the sweet pangs of it remember me. For such as I am, all true lovers are, unstayed and skittish in all motions else, save in the constant image of the creature that is beloved. How dost thou like this tune?
It gives a very echo to the seat where love is throned.
Thou dost speak masterly. My life upon't, young though thou art, thine eyes hath stayed upon some favor that it loves, hath it not, boy?
A little, by your favor.
What kind of woman is't?
Of your complexion.
She is not worthy, then. What years, i'faith?
About your years, my lord.
Too old, by heaven. But still the woman take an elder than herself. So wears she to him, so sways she level in her husband's heart. For boy, however we do praise ourselves, our fancies are more giddy and unfirm, more longing, wavering, sooner lost and worn than women's are.
I think it well, my lord.
Then let thy love be younger than thyself, or thy affection cannot hold the bent. For women are as roses, whose fair flower, being once displayed, doth fall that very hour.
And so they are. Alas, that they are so, to die even when they to perfection grow.
Fellow, come, the song we had last night. Mark it, Cesario. It is old and plain. The spinsters and the knitters in the sun and the free maids that weave their threads with bones do use to chant it. It is silly sooth and dallies with the innocence of love like the old age.
Are you ready, sir?
Aye, prithee, sing.
Come away, death, and in sad cypress let me be laid. Fly away, breath, I am slain by a fair cruel maid. My shroud of white stuck all with you. Oh, prepare it, oh, prepare it. My part of death, no one so true did share it, did share it. Not a flower sweet on my black coffin, let there be strown. Not a friend greet my poor corpse where my bones shall be thrown. 1,000 sighs to save. Lay me where, oh, lay me where. Sad true love, never find my grave to weep there, to weep there.
There's for thy pains.
Oh, no pain, sir. I take pleasure in singing, sir.
I'll pay thy pleasure then.
Truly, sir, and pleasure will be paid one way or another.
Give me now leave to leave thee.
Now, the melancholy god protect thee, and the tailor make thy doublet of changeable taffeta, for thy mind is of very opal. I would have men of such constancy put to sea, that their business might be everything and their intent everywhere, for that's it that always makes a good voyage of nothing. Farewell.
Let all the rest give place. Once more, Cesario, get thee to yon same sovereign cruelty. Tell her, my love, more nobler than the world prizes not quantity of dirty lands, the parts that fortune hath bestowed upon her. Tell her I hold as giddily as fortune, but 'tis that miracle and queen of gems that nature pranks her in attracts my soul.
But if she cannot love you, sir.
I cannot be so answered.
No, but you must. Say that some lady, as perhaps there is, hath for your love as great a pang of heart as you have for Olivia. You cannot love her. You tell her so. Must she not then be answered?
There is no woman's sighs can bide the beating of so strong a passion as love doth give my heart. No woman's heart so big to hold so much, they lack retention. Alas, their love may be called appetite. No motion of the liver, but the palate that suffers surfeit, cloyment, and revolt. But mine is all as hungry as the sea, and can digest as much. Make no compare between that love a woman can bear me and that I owe Olivia.
Aye, but I know.
What dost thou know?
Too well what love women to men may owe. In faith, they are as true of heart as we. My father had a daughter, loved a man, as it might be, perhaps. Were I a woman, I should your lordship.
And what's her history?
A blank, my lord. She never told her love, but let concealment like a worm in the bud feed on her damask cheek. She pined in thought, and with a green and yellow melancholy sat like patience on a monument, smiling at grief. Was not this love indeed? We men may say more, swear more, but indeed our shows are more than will. For still we prove much in our vows, but little in our love.
But died thy sister of her love, my boy?
I am all the daughters of my father's house, and all the brothers too. And yet I know not. Sir, shall I to this lady?
Aye, that's the theme. To her in haste. Give her this jewel, say, my love can give no place, bide no denay.
Beautiful. Really lovely work. I think Jamal liked it. I would love to just take a moment and just ask for the three of you, what happened today? Because I mean, I just thought it was beautiful. You did some wonderful work last week. I think the time you took this week was really lovely and so helpful to let the scene breathe and become even more courageous and unsafe for them and just gripping. And my heart was broken all over again, Michele, by your song. It's just heartrending. Can the three of you share any thoughts? And then I'd also love to ask the actors who weren't in that scene what they saw. So, but first, Sara, Garrett, Michele.
I came up with an idea that FESTE might have been off stage listening to them.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I'm ready to make my entrance at the beginning. So, and then at the end, I want to find out what's happening. And it was really very moving to just be a fly, sort of like a fly on the wall, listening to that.
I felt like I could see that, Michele, in the way it affected your last speech to them, that it felt less harsh and almost more encouraging, or a sense of, I felt like it was coded in a different way.
Yeah.
It was, really lovely.
Viola today had a more slippery amount of courage coming in and out than I think previously. It really came and went line by line. Like I really lost courage sometimes and then would find it again and then would lose it again. So it was more rapidly in and out than I think it's been in the past. I don't know why, but there it was, which was interesting to feel it come and go.
I think that works for the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, like the traction and the loss of traction.
Yeah.
It seemed. Do you feel like that worked with the scene?
Yeah, I do. And I think it came from, if I were to take a guess, I think it comes from each week I hear Orsino's lines a little bit better. and little things that he says make me drop. And so I'll start to build it again, and then there'll be like one word that he says that just makes me plummet, and then I'll have to start climbing back up again. So, you know, listening, that big actor secret, listening.
Yeah. Garrett, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I played with some of the ideas that we had kind of talked about, of that not being too sure, and the idea of saying some of these seemingly misogynist things as like a guise, because he doesn't know what he's really talking about. I think for mostly I was playing with the idea of trying to search for my words. Like, I don't know what I'm about to say. I'm just trying to search and catch the emotion and the feeling and the knowledge. It's like the line that really stuck out to me today, the exchange is when Viola says like, but I know, and I'm just like so hungry for, tell me what you know. Like, yeah. What is it? Tell me. Like, I want it so bad. That's kind of what I was playing with today.
Yeah, and I felt like, Garrett, you wanted it to know from him, yeah. Right? That it's not just in general, but like you've got something. I can see it. You know something about the world, and you want to tap into that.
There was one moment when Cesario says that I think it's I know too well what
love women to win,
and I almost lost my breath, because I was saying, oh my God, she's going to spill the beans. She's going to reveal herself. And that breath where you take it back, Sara, and go back into was just amazing. And for Garrett, it was, I just got this, again, that wonderful Quicksilver sense that the aristocrats in this play have. And so in a way, he's actually quite a good match for Olivia. But that's why Orsino needs Viola, and Olivia needs Sebastian, but they both have that kind of weird, they've spent too much time, you know, having their every whim indulged and not really, you know, living in the real world.
Yeah, and I agree. And I feel like, Garrett, you know, two little moments stood out to me today. Was when that moment you took after Sara said about your years, and where you decided to be vulnerable and say, Orsino saying she's not worthy, then he's not, that sense of, I'm going to be honest, I don't think I'm that great, Shakes, and I shouldn't be your barometer, was just lovely. I saw the choice Orsino made to reveal his own insecurities. And I also saw another moment, like you said, Michele, of almost spilling the beans when you asked what's her history, and Sara, you took that moment before a blank, and I was like, oh, is that the moment where she's going, should I just say it? No, I got nothing. No, I don't know. It's nothing. Yeah, Erika?
Well, as you say that, it just struck me is that I have never heard a discussion about, at any time that I've worked on this play or anything, about the toll of Olivia's rejection, taking the toll that it's taken on Orsino.
Oh, yeah.
Orsino is always played with this sort of clueless, sort of egocentric air, and it would certainly make for a vulnerability that Viola would find appealing, and also that plea to beg for, you know, her to say yes, he's a great guy, that it isn't just, you know, sighs of fire because he's showing love, that there are times that it's just too much. And I was thinking, Sara, too, when you're talking about sometimes feeling confident and sometimes not feeling confident and everything, you know, what really works as a result of that, your decision to suddenly go, all right, shall I to this lady? It kind of feeds that a little bit more in terms of, I got to get out of here, but I can't say it, but I'm gonna say it, but I can't say, you know, I'll go. You want me to do that thing? Okay. All right. Bye. You know, it really was so lovely. And I have to tell you, when I had stepped out of my seat to, you use the ladies' room. But I'd heard you guys doing the first monologue in Orsino, and when you said come but one verse, and then he is not here, so please your lordship, that he should sing it. I mean, you were saying that, right? We turned those into Viola's line. I thought that's when, because for a sec I just wasn't concentrating, and I know the second half of the scene much better with the famous speech about patience on a monument and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was so naturalistic and beautiful, and the energy between the two of you was a little bit almost embarrassed. I actually thought that Michele was supposed to be on, and she wasn't on. So I ran back to the screen to look and see what was happening, and realized that it was actually the text. The energy was so spontaneous and beautiful between the two of you that I wanted to point that out, to just give you props. It just was really lovely.
Yeah, that was one of the most natural things that that whole exchange. It was like I felt I was, just two pals sitting on sitting at a bar stool or something like that, and it was that naturalistic but still so beautiful.
Other thoughts from the 1-5 group? Erika's jumped into the pool. Janet, Jamal, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a lover. I love love. I really do. And I also love when Shakespeare, when riding the language and allowing the vulnerability and the spontaneity to be there, like the classicalness of it was just not there. And you were just, whoo, and you just felt it, when you could just feel, and you all did that effortlessly. And so I just thank you all for just doing what you did. I can't talk about specifics because I was just watching this thing be revealed and unfold. And for myself, that's always my goal. And it gets challenging when you're working on Shakespeare. Sometimes you hear yourself speaking in Shakespeare, you're like, oh, you slicing this up, dog. Like, you making this bigger than it has to be. But it was seamless with you all. It just flowed like water. And I'm grateful to have been able to witness that, because we haven't been on stage in a long time. And to witness that on Zoom, that honesty, that vulnerability, it's like, oh, yes. So I just loved it. And listen, Sara, the way you're using your space, you're the one on your feet in here. When you was walking out, you went to that door, you did that look back. I'm like, you better go on, girl. It was wonderful. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. It was so honest. It was so honest. It was so present, happening right now.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was a joy to watch and be a part of it. So yeah.
Okay, Jamal, I have to ask though, when she was at the door at the end, didn't you want her to come back?
I wanted her to come back.
Get back here.
Yep. It's great.
But it kind of needs that, because like you were saying with Philippa, we don't see them together again until 5-1.
Yeah.
So if the last energy we see between the two of them, because usually it seems like there's defeat, not electricity.
Yeah.
Sadness is played, but with that kind of electricity, it would be interesting to see the sustain of it showing up at Act 5.
That's exactly what we were talking about, Erika, because and you're right, then that it has to hold for 3 acts, and then they come on, and then suddenly she's like, all right, I'm gone, I'll sacrifice myself. Wait, what? What's going on? Who are you? What's really happening here? No, I'll kill him. But that tension that we leave them with is like electric current that has to carry it, because I totally agree, Erika, that if it ends on a sense of defeat, I don't want the audience, like you were saying, Jamal, about the baggage that gets attached with Shakespeare. I feel like an audience sometimes watches a Shakespeare going, I don't buy that, but it's Shakespeare, so okay. Right? And I mean, I'm on a lifelong quest to be like whack-a-mole with that, and just feel like, no, we have to, all of us, put those breadcrumbs in. So that even if it's another half hour between if we don't see Sara and Garrett again, we are rooting for them. We are invested. We feel the electricity you're talking about, Erika, and then when it starts to happen quickly in Act 5, we're like, yeah, it was there.
I really appreciate you saying that, Brendon. I was just listening to a podcast this morning. I wish I could remember her name so that I could credit her. She's a native scholar, Shakespearean scholar and artist, and she was saying, we have these claims that Shakespeare is universal. And of course he's not, he's institutionalized because he's required in our educational system. So a lot of people know Shakespeare, but don't love Shakespeare. A lot of people know Shakespeare stories because it's just been around, because it's required. And I think when we take this into theater and we put it productions, we often, without realizing it, assume that the audience already knows how the story is going to work. And so we skirt over these moments. And that is likely one of the reasons why there is a lot of, there's both a love for Shakespeare, of course, but then there's a lot of what is this thing that I keep being required to study and required to learn, because we don't earn it with that assumption that people already know it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what's been so good about the rep as well, is that, we've had the time to take this apart and to reference that you actually think they only have these 3 scenes together. It's kind of mind-blowing, right? And it informs you so much. And guys, you were just brilliant. I must say, the electricity is one thing. I think that's why Nathan's got no power in his house tonight, because it was all here. And honestly, I think exactly what Sara was saying, having had the time to do all this work and have all this exploration, and then you can trust that you've explored, and all you have to do is listen. And I just saw the 2 of you listening to each other. You've already got the language and the structure, and more than that, though, I see so much put on Shakespeare, feeding into what you were saying, Sara, about the preconceptions about Shakespeare and how it should be done. You see quite often this kind of homoerotic stance at the beginning of this scene with, I didn't see anything there. All I saw were 2 people connecting on a very, very deep level. And for me, that is infinitely more interesting to watch than, because I was completely, I didn't know. I was confused and I was bamboozled by it. Isn't that great? Like you said, Jamal, on Zoom? Really? I'm always decrying the fact that, like, Zoom, though, there's no connection. You guys just blew that out today. And the listening and I didn't know where you were taking me. I mean, I know, because I know the scene, not as well as you guys, but you know what happens, right? But honestly, I was on the edge of my seat thinking, what are they playing here? It was great.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to share this thing too, that what I love the way that we work. And I think I messaged you, Brendon, about this too, because we really talk about the emotional life. And some Shakespeare rehearsals, it's all about the text and finding on the line. That's true. That's very, very true. But the way that we work, talking about what was actually going in the life, like I feel like we were more focused there with this, and it does something different. I think it gets us to this place. You can get there doing the other thing with the language, but I do think like being on intention, knowing what's happening with the character, knowing what's going on in life, what's that thought? It is on the line. It is on the line. But knowing that, for me at least, in this modern world, puts me on the line in a different way than text first for me, and so it's another way of working through Shakespeare that isn't always the case. Sometimes it is text heavy and all technical, and we really focused on the emotion and the intention and what was going on with the life and the spirits of these characters in this world a lot, working with you, Brendon. And that's what I saw here too, agreeing with you, Janet, like, yeah, it wasn't the homo, it was 2 human beings, 2 souls communicating and connecting. And in anything, that's more powerful than to put on all these other things when it's truth and honesty based on this love that we are exploring in this in 12th Night. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say that again, because I love working the way that you work, Brendon, on this text, because it's not something that I get often, and it's what I prefer. Really working on Shakespeare text, just for me, how I enter the work, for me and my context in life. And I saw that come through in this scene. So they're like, oh, yes, let's keep talking more like we do in rehearsals to get there. So.
Well, I really, that means so much, Jamal. And I think that just sending it back to you and the group, I felt like one of the fun things was throughout our weeks together, we knew you all worked on the text outside of our meetings. And this is something I talk to my students about as well, of like, there's the homework, right? There's the things to know your text well. So then when we come in, I said, Jamal, so what's your 2021 version of what Malvolio's ranting about here? You just drop something in, right? It's not about right or wrong, but this Jamal with this Malvolio in this moment with this text can come out this way. And I think that helps everybody be even more authentic and speak from their authentic voice, and not that sort of Shakespeare voice or how you think it should sound while still playing attention.
And this really speaks to the 21st century hashtag love is love, right? For me, that's what that was right there. I mean, it's amazing because of all this, how we say, you know, how regular Shakespeare was in those times anyway. And it was so kind of commercial, really. And we see it as this highfalutin thing. And to see that circle around right to now, and who knows why it's like that. We're also influenced by our times right now. That's what I was completely getting from it. Love it. I just saw love. I didn't think, you know, gay, straight, mistaken identity. I just saw love. This is fantastic.
And I told Nathan that one of the reasons I wanted to be in this workshop was I thought I really knew 12th Night. I didn't.
Right.
Really know 12th Night. Not the way we're doing this. Every scene, it's like if you really, really look at it and talk it and play and listen to it, there is so much there that it truly boggles the mind that it could be so much could be concentrated in so few lines. And it's like you're a miner digging into the earth, and occasionally you come up with these wonderful nuggets of precious stones and things, and it's and it's amazing, and they're there for the finding if you take the time to find it. And that's what we had the luxury of doing here, and I just thought it was amazing.
Philippa, I wanted to just give you a chance. I think you were going to jump in a moment ago and share something as well.
I was just going to say very quickly that I loved seeing, so in the former scene, you would have seen Olivia say, take the fool away. And then FESTE says, well, you better go then, Olivia. And now we've got Michele coming in as the fool, which is just lovely in the casting. And the only other thing, I was just going to say, the way that these lines are structured, that Orsino is asking questions of Cesario and really listening, whereas, and then Cesario says, well, shall I to the lady? And he says, oh yes, my love can give no place, bide no delay. And he's going back into this sort of fake speech at the very end of the scene, showing how beautifully open and listening he's actually been earlier.
Yeah, and Philippa, I love that. And I would add that what I found, another thing I made a note of, Garrett, was the end there was so complex, and you were playing this kind of emotional chord where Sara, it felt like it cost you a pint of blood to ask this about, should I go to her, please say no? And I felt like, Garrett, you really hollowed out the line. That's the theme was the least enthusiastic reading of that line I've ever seen, which was great, which was to me read beautifully of a man in the way that you all have played the scene. You have painted yourself into this emotional corner, and you don't know yet how to get out of it. And you just sort of, I guess that's what we're gonna do, but I don't have to love it right now. And that carried you all the way to the final silent beats, watching her go. Does that make sense, Garrett, in terms of what I saw?
Yeah, I think we had talked about it in our last time too, of like that being the least, I mean, it is the least enthusiastic thing you could say, of like, that's the theme, you know, it's just so lame.
Yeah.
So it seemed to me that it didn't mean what he wanted it to mean. It wasn't the thing he wanted to say in the moment. And then too, even with like a little bit, and we talked, even with like the scansion there, it's so interesting that it's like he ends the first like ending couplet with say, and then it just kind of it like stops, and then it goes, it's like he's like searching for the word and he can't think of anything else but this terrible forced rhyme at the end. So the dene, it's like, what is that? Yeah, there's just something there's just so much in that, in those 3 lines. I found really, really fun to play with.
And then you push back against the couplet, you know? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Erika.
With Viola at the end of the scene with Olivia, when she says, place it in contempt. And there is the one word and she's left hanging and then nails it through. It's the same structure at the end of that scene that the last speech that Viola has with Olivia. Another thing that they have in common, Orsino and Milo.
I think we're shipping them really hard, as the kids would
Yeah.
say. They're meant to be.
Shipping.
Cap.
Don't worry, Erika. I'll never use that word. I apologize.
It sounded weird coming out of your mouth. What are you saying?
It did not scan. It's a bad cordo. So just imagine that's not gonna happen again. Nathan, do you want to save me?
Sure. I'll attempt. I was just stunned watching this, guys, and everyone has said pretty much everything I was thinking, and I mean that about both scenes. And it, you know, it reminds me that all 4 scenes you guys have worked on, it's just extraordinary, the depth that all of you have been able to get to in these scenes. And yeah, I mean, I won't say I was quite an emotional wreck over here watching both scenes, but it's just, I was so pulled in. And as we've talked about, especially with Orsino and Cesario, there was this element of, I don't know where this is going. Like, what? And I think that's one of the most exciting things you can do with Shakespeare. You know, and I would assume even with his audience that they knew the stories, but like, how is he going to tell this? What are they going to say, and all this kind of stuff. So it was really exciting to see that, and just all of the work that you guys have been doing over the weeks. And it made me kind of think that it almost seems like with all the scenes, but we can just kind of talk about these 2, but it almost seems like these scenes almost need this much time that, you know, of course you could rehearse the whole play in a week, but what is it like? And I'm curious if anyone has any further thoughts on just having this kind of time to really explore this, and not in a way that, I mean, if you're doing a run of a play over 8 or 9 weeks, you know, of course you'll uncover and discover some more things, but to not have that pressure of just doing it over and over, or, you know, just approaching it from a different angle. Do any of you have any thoughts about just the amount of time you've had to think about this from week to week and really just digest in a very slow way, you know, all the notes that have come up and things that you wanted to think about and explore? Because and I guess I'll wrap up my question with this, that it's like, did you ever feel like at week 3 or 4, like, oh, okay, yeah, we got the scene, we figured it out? Or was there always more you wanted to explore?
I think that personally, I have been lucky enough to work where I've sat down and done a lot of table work beforehand. It very, very rarely happens. But for me, then you do the table work and then you get it on its feet, right? But what we were able to do here, because we're concentrating on 4 scenes, is do the table work, get it on its feet, marinate over it for a week, do the table work, get it on its feet. And having that repetition so concentrated, because obviously you've got to get through a whole 5-act play. That was really interesting for me, for sure. And I think that's valuable. I mean, I can't ever see a practical way of that working in real life, but I don't know, we can try, right?
I started feeling like today was I kept trying to frame it in the 4-week period that you usually have the 3 weeks of rehearsal and the 1 week of tech. And today for me felt a little bit like maybe the second run through in the room in that first scene for me. So trying to grasp at something new, a color that we had discussed the week before,
Right.
and then bringing that into it. And then getting to the end of it and going, oh, but I missed the color from last week in that moment, in that moment, in that moment. And then knowing going forward, I would have the opportunity to run it and touch back and bring back those colors. It's when you're at that point in rehearsal where
Right.
you get to start going, oh, this was good, and this was good. And this, oh, I like this, felt right. And this fits the story that we're telling right here. This is good. That's where it worked out for me. Cause I think my brain kept trying to go, well, this is where I would feel in week 2. I kept trying to condense it back into the 4-week realm of what we live in, which even now sounds expensive, 4 weeks. But I mean, it was funny. I rehearsed the play once in Philadelphia, and we got to block the play after table work on the set. The set was almost completely done. And it screwed with our heads so much because the sensation of what it was like to be on the set, it was like, wait a minute, we're not in tech yet, right? We're not in tech. I mean, it was a very funny sort of mind fuckery, if you excuse my French. It was just, so this for me, not in a frustrating way, has been a very interesting process in terms of going from one frame, Liz's frame, and then 2 days later, I jump into Brendon's frame. And in the first one, I'm thinking Mariah, and then the next one, I'm thinking Viola. And then to piece, that was my format.
Love that. I love that. I wonder if it's the 7 weeks. When I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, if we have 4 weeks to put up a show, we're in rehearsals like 8-hour days, right? And we're doing this for 2 hours with 2 scenes. I think it's how you use the time in the room, because in that 4 weeks, you do have the time. It's our full-time job. And it's how you use the time, I think. And I think in the room, when we're in the room, I think because we know we're getting on stage soon, there's a different type of energy and a rush to do things. Whereas here, knowing what this is and what the endpoint is, be as artists and directors and producers, dramaturgs, is this like calmness of like, oh, I could actually be present here without thinking about the end result at the end. And we still have that in the beginning with this as well, but I think it's how you use time. It's the quality of how you use time, I think it is. Because I think you do have time to get to what we got to in 4 weeks. If we don't rush through the process, because we have to get to the designer's run. We have to get to the tech run. We know we're opening up. Like there's this anxiety and this rush that comes when we're in the room. And I think,
Well, aren't they
again,
laughing?
Yeah, right, exactly. And I think opening it up, I think this world, all of us, no, not all of us, some people, after this 1.5 years have learned how to be present and to really be here. And I think that's what I've learned through this process. I don't know if it's the 7 weeks, because I think that's a lot of time for these 2 things, honestly, me personally. But I think it's the quality of how you use the time,
Yeah.
And there's not always quality with how we're using the time in the rooms with like 20 actors and a director and producers asking questions and stage managers and all the hoopla that goes on. I think we were just present here in a different way than we are used to being in the room with the chaos that can come with creating theater.
And we didn't have the obligation of feet. We didn't have the obligation to go, I'm going to exit. Is that upstairs, right? Is there a hole? There's a hole there, right? I'm supposed to, okay, I'll pop in.
Set change, I gotta pick up that desk and then come right back on for a quick change over there and then come back in, like all those different things.
Stage manager, did I exit the last time that way, or okay, let's back it up. Like, okay, yeah, that got off the shelf, which was sort of lovely to experience. Not have that obligation.
I want to. I just want to jump in really quick. I'm loving the conversation. I do want to mention Peter, one of the attendees. He mentioned, I think, Sara, maybe the woman you listened to was Madeline Sayet, Sayet. So if anyone wants to dive into her work more and hear more about what she has to say, you can do that. And you know what I want to mention is, it's, at least for me, it's so exciting and fulfilling to see all of you, and I include Brendon in this too, or the directors at large, get to stretch and show different colors of what you can work on and what you can do. because if, I think about the 2 scenes on Monday and then these 2 scenes and just all the different layers. It's, on an inherent level, you understand like, oh, they're actors, they can do this. But what I love is you get to show us your range. And that's very exciting because, a lot of times actors don't get that opportunity. They just like, people see like, oh, they can do that thing. And that's the thing they just keep doing. And it was really fun to see not only that you guys did that, but how fully you embraced all of your different characters, all of your different parts. We kind of talked about this on Monday, the courage it can take to just go, you know what, I'm going to make this part mine. I don't care what the expectation is. I don't care how it's been done before. And I saw that even today, that there was a lot of, I just saw you guys doing this, and that was so rewarding and so exciting. And so I'm thrilled that other people get to see that from all of you. And Christian in the chat said that he agrees, and that so it sounds like that was the experience of some of the attendees as well. So I just want to applaud
if I
all of
may,
you.
really quick, just definitely, I want to just agree that when Michele, when you appeared as FESTE, I laughed out loud hard. Because I was like, oh, obviously that's a different person than the woman we got for Olivia.
Right.
So stately and veil laden and to the manner born. And then we got the, what do you got? I mean, so Nathan, I mean, just within this one, these 2 scenes, in addition to, I'm sure with Monday, I love that sense of commitment, even within Zoom. I mean, we talked about this, right? I mean, Garrett and Sara, how we can use proximity, right? Like when you lean in, and I think those are the things that I think we can bring more to table work. The more we can make table work robust and exciting and kinesthetic, and not just frozen from the shoulders up. That's something I'm taking away. You were talking, Jamal, about things to take away from this, and one of the things I was thinking was 1 inch equals 100 miles, and if you're present, every little turn of a head, anytime someone's leaning in, that can happen around a table. And I'm thinking, as a director, I want to be even more present for that and note like what happens when you do that. And so when we add feet, like you said, Erika, we could extend that, right? So a lean in turns into I suddenly get this image of, if we were to do this scene of Sara, but I know, I suddenly thought, what if Viola just went up and grabbed him? And shook him, which I've never seen. And I thought, but that's what I got from your 2 proximity, what you both brought just within Zoom. You didn't seem to let the medium dictate your choices. And I felt like that times 100. And I think if we can bring that sense of play and tuning out all of the noise that you all were mentioning, if we really, I think we can find ways to dive deeper sooner. It's hard as hell, and I totally agree for the director and for the actors. But if that's sort of set from the beginning, right? If we advocate for it, if we demand it, if we feel like this is our best self, I think it's about vulnerability again, isn't it?
I want to just give the attendees, another chance if anyone has any other questions. I do want to bring up one more comment. It was related to what you were just saying, Brendon. But yeah, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to raise your hand, or if you want to come on camera, or if you just want to put it in the chat, that's fine too. But to echo what you were saying, Brendon, Christian said, it makes me think endlessly how we can take all these lovely feelings, discoveries, and approaches we've learned from the Zoom space and apply them to the stage. So yeah, just right in line with what you're saying, and thank you Christian for sharing that. But yeah, this was just a lovely afternoon. But I'll give the attendees just another few moments to, if you have any burning questions or things like that. But otherwise, we can wrap it up. And just to I'm still reeling from everything I watched. So it's wow. Yeah, it was quite amazing, quite emotional to watch all this stuff. And Brendon, the point you made about seeing Michele and then as Olivia and then FESTE, we could probably point to all of the actors today. It's just like you guys made just such, you were so bold in your choices to commit to what you were doing that, you know, I can remember seeing Jamal as Sir Toby on Monday, and he's a totally different person today, but it's still Jamal. And I could go through everybody, you know, I see Jamal on the screen right now. So but that's a testament to all of you guys and your work. And what I also love is that it's very clear that you, at least to me, or my perspective, is that you're all learning from each other too, and that's exciting. It's not you know, it's not just the river flows downhill. It's that, you know, you're all taking ideas from each other, which is very exciting to see, because a lot of times it's not until 4, 5, 6 weeks or the play's over that you're like, God, I love that you found that moment. I mean, you know, you guys are able to have this here, you know, before you even do the play. So that's really exciting. But any other final thoughts before we kind of wind up the public part of this?
I'd like to add on to conversation that was happening earlier, what Janet and Jamal were saying about this way we present Shakespeare and the way it's seen. And I remember when I first moved to New York, and I reconnected with this brilliant woman, Eloise Watt, who used to run the Shakespeare workout. And she had known me in Seattle before. We'd met at a workshop in Seattle, and then had known me before graduate school. And then we reconnected when I got back to the city. And she said to me, she said, you got rid of your regionalism. I said, huh? She goes, your hard R. She said, you used to use that so brilliantly. That was your voice. Now you have sort of a grad school pronunciation. I'm not saying get rid of that, but don't completely erase you. And I think we often feel like we have to abandon some part of ourselves in order to do a period heightened language piece. And it really isn't true. I mean, I had a masterclass once with Janet Sutzman, who was a wonderful British actress. And she said, the biggest mistake you Americans make with Shakespeare is that you make him Shakespeare. She's like, he's Shakespeare. He's a playwright. He's another struggling playwright. You know, we do have our rules. There are rules to follow in terms of verse, scansion, structure, and that kind of a thing. But I do love the idea of and you know, having the time to go into the humanity of these people and the connections. You know, that was just so beautiful, and I would encourage people to hear themselves in their sounds. So, like when I heard myself saying it takes great pain, I took great pains to con it. And as I was working on my lines today, I was like, don't, you know, bring it back. Just be Erika. It took great pains to con it. I mean, it's just, you know, that Viola is a violet. The audience will go, oh, I feel that. I took great pains to con it. It's going to make somebody who's maybe not a Shakespeare fan go, see, I don't relate to that. But the skin of what we took off during this process, I think sort of helps create that relation better. And that's all I'm saying.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful, Erika. I love that so much. You know, I think going off of that, I always tell people too, when they say, you know, certain regionalism stuff, they won't be able to hear that in the back row. I'm like, so when I'm doing August Wilson, you're telling me the back row to understand what the hell I'm saying? That's what I say to that. I'm like, that makes no sense, because when I'm doing work that is written for me, there is regionalism, there's southern, there's all that, and the person in the back row hears what I be cursing sometimes. And so I think that's to a good point. And that doesn't X out the other stuff at all. It's just saying that all these things can be true. It's about intention. When the intention is direct and clear, it's going to get to the back row, I believe. And also, you were speaking about something earlier, Erika, about the colors that can be lost. And I think like that as well. And then when you said that, like, oh, but that's the vulnerability of these characters too, like making the characters human. Of course, they are experiencing this in the moment, and colors can be lost. And so if I'm vulnerable in the rehearsal process to let go and colors to be lost, how much more present I am in the vulnerability of the character and thinning that line between me and the character until it goes away. It's like me allowing myself to be vulnerable and lose colors. and miss words and stuff, because that's what these characters are doing and figuring out with the scansion and everything. It's just been formulated in that way. And so when you said that, I was like, I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna allow colors to be lost, to be present, and to be vulnerable in the space, to discover. So thank you for saying that. I just want to say that out loud. That was beautiful.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I was, as I had my little outfit on, I was like, this is great. This is weird. This is weird. And then I was nervous before I started, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, but isn't she nervous? And suddenly I was like, oh yeah, okay. I'll just be nervous right now. And whether
This is great.
Or felt, all that kind of stuff, it's up to the audience. So sorry.
This is great. I'm gonna just jump in. I'll close out the public section so that the cast, we can speak for another 3 hours about all the things that you guys are thinking about. But I just want to highlight a couple more comments from the audience here. Let's see. Peter said, thank you again for doing this, making it accessible to others with the audience here and these presentations. Great experience. And Christian added, we were talking about, or Erika, you brought up a point of not making it Shakespeare, but Shakespeare the playwright. And he said, yes, one of the best notes I ever got with text like this: take it out of the kingdom, put it in the bar. So there you go. And so I want to thank all of the attendees, the cast. You can hang out, and I teased this announcement at the very beginning, and of course, if you're here on Monday, you heard it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a little time off for the summer, and then in September, the plan is to come back and do some checkoff. In kind of the month format that we have been doing. And we're very excited to bring in Libby Apple to do that. Libby is a former artistic director of Oregon Shakespeare Festival, former artistic director of Indiana Repertory Theater, former dean of theater at Cal Arts. She's a Kennedy Center Award winner. She has translated 5 of Chekhov's plays, has had a lifelong love affair, just, loves this material. So we're tickled that she's excited to be part of this and work on that. So there'll be more information forthcoming as we kind of put all that together. But thank you again for being part of the presentation here for 12th night. And again, the cast can hang out, and I do see one of our other directors is in the audience. Liz, you can hang out. We'll bring you backstage in a second. But thank you very much, and hope you had a great time. So you are welcome to either drop off the call, or I will move everybody back into the waiting room.